All right, we are recording, as it says up there, The Password is Courage. This is the next book, and it is one that I have read some years ago now, probably a decade, maybe more. Um, One thing unfortunate is, to my knowledge, it is not available in print. Period. I do remember looking for it those years ago and not being able to find it, but it is on Kindle and on Kobo. So, yeah, this is I'm going to use my Kobo Libre Color to read it. And as I said, I had read it some years ago. um, okay, there are 24 chapters in it, along with an epigraph. When is the... Oh, that's interesting, actually. Copyright page is blank. Yes, I have it set to be inverted, but anyway, I can still tell you some about this. So, this is an actual true story. To my knowledge, though, there's one aspect of it that there is some contention over. But anyway, we can just look at the image here, which I'm going to have to look at my computer screen to see it because I closed the cover here. Yeah, as it says, the author is John Castle, but the actual subject of the story, the British guy there, the POW, is Sergeant Major Charles Coward. It is easily one of the most ironic names you could have for this guy. As I remember from what little bit I had looked at, he was captured in France in 1940, and I'm pretty sure, never... He remained a POW for the length of the European War. Well, the European portion of the war. And he had some wild adventures. For example, one that I believe is in chapter 1 here. He was injured. So he crawled into a barn to try to just rest through the night, because it was night and all that. But he crawled through the barn, and this is actually important because he got his uniform all muddy. He crawls in, and he sleeps through the night. When he wakes up, he finds he's not alone. Turns out that the Germans in the area had also decided to use that barn to house some of their people, mainly their wounded. So they then went in, and not doing any kind of like head count or anything like that, just take everyone who's injured in the barn, out of the barn, and to a hospital. So you end up with a British... I'm actually not sure if he is a sergeant major at this time, because it's been a long time. I think he may have gotten promoted during the length of the war while he was a POW. I think that is a thing. I could be completely wrong, but in any case. They still have a British soldier in a German hospital on the Nazi side, not the POW side, because there's also POW side to the hospital, and he is taken there eventually. But while he is there, he is feigning a head injury to explain why he can't talk, why he can't understand anything. And as sometimes happens in wartime with hospitals holding casualties of war, generals walk through and pin medals on people. The general pinned the Iron Cross on him. I am not certain where in the hierarchy of medals go, where on the hierarchy of medals the Iron Cross would be for Germany, but it's not low. I'm pretty sure it is relatively high, and he got it. I don't think they let him keep it, though. But no, what ended up happening after that, and the general had left, is figure out, wait a minute, you're not German. And then they transferred him over to the POW side, where it was partially run by POWs as well. And it was like, two British orderlies there, and like, dude, what did you do? Why is this such an uproar? How are you even over there? I'm pretty sure that's all in chapter 1. I don't remember. It's been a while. I do remember that's at the beginning of the story. And I'm just trying to remember specific order of events here, and I mean, some of it I will relearn. Did he ever try to escape? Oh yeah. Besides that one time, I think he has... I know it's an odd number, like 3 or 5 different escape attempts to him one time. And by the way, there is actually a movie called The Password is Courage that the British made. I don't remember when. The book is better. Not just because books are better, but they did change certain things. Like the final escape attempt shown in it is essentially what you see in The Great Escape. That's, as I recall, that's not the actual escape attempt that's described in the book. That they just went with that. I'm not sure why, but it's very similar to The Great Escape. And I could be misremembering, but when we get to it, we'll see. But one of the times, and this is in the movie, he need to forge papers. They actually flipped I think it was the Bavarian Eagle. So it's like they just, when forging it, accidentally had it mirrored, and that was enough to be like, this isn't legit. You're an escapee, aren't you? But it's also, some of you may have heard of or seen the movie Schindler's List. And I watched that a few months ago. At the end of it, one of the things that's pointed out is that Schindler was named among the righteous among the nations. He's one of the people who earned that, which these are non-Jews who acted during the Holocaust to save Jewish lives. Charles Coward is also one. He also earned that. And and he would not have been alone in his efforts. I'm not sure if others of the POWs, because they were, it wasn't just him that did this. According to the book, he came up with the idea. According to the book, it was potentially thousands of people saved. The number is admittedly somewhat suspect, because it's not like they were keeping records of this, and it's not so they could ask people after the fact. But he and his fellow POWs, and also there's some contention over who thought of the plan, but still is, he did other things. He was involved with this, as were other POWs at, as I recall, and I'll find out for certain, I believe the name of the camp was Monowitz. Now that may sound a little similar to something else, it kind of rhymes with Auschwitz, because that's where it was. He was actually at the POW portion of Auschwitz, also known as, I think, because I was checking some things, including that he is recognized as righteous among the nations. That he was at Auschwitz III was the name of it. Now the death camp portion was, I think I'd seen something saying it was about 5 miles away, but it was still part of the larger complex. And I'll leave how they did it until I get there in the book. I'll leave that. But he and the fellow POWs came up with a scheme that did actually work, and it saved, certainly we can say dozens. I think at one point when I was looking at this again was years ago, that some say that no, it was maybe only dozens that were saved. Others being like, no, there were hundreds to thousands of Jews that were saved from Auschwitz by their efforts. And there's some other wild things that he managed to do while at Auschwitz and at other camps. But at Auschwitz, he snuck into the death camp portion, and so he was witness to things that the Nazis were doing to the prisoners, to the Holocaust prisoners in Auschwitz. The reason why, for anyone wondering, is because there was a report of a British doctor, was Jewish, but a British doctor who was on a plane that was shot down. And there were reports that he was over there. Now he was in fact over there, but Coward wanted to go and find him. This never actually ended up happening, which is important because in the Nuremberg trials, if he had connected, he would have been able to speak for that. Instead, he can only speak for other things, provide testimony for other things. And he was at the Nuremberg trials. He did testify there. But no, he went in and tried to find the guy, and so, yeah, and as I said, they never connected, because this would have been, there were a lot of war crimes in World War II. In fact, there's one in it that the Canadians, I actually need to check the history on if they did actually commit it or if it was just a rumor that they committed. Either way, the Nazis had a response that it's very interesting how they handled it in the story, and it is also in the movie as well. Where the POWs genuinely thought they were going to be executed. But in any case, because the British doctor, Jew or not, he was a POW. He wasn't just a civilian, because technically that's who would have been in the death camp portion of Auschwitz. So the Germans putting him there actually would have been a violation of the Geneva Convention. And you might be thinking, oh, well, the Nazis didn't care. Actually, some of them did. You did not want to piss off the Geneva Convention. So it's piss off Switzerland because they were the protecting power. In fact, there is a moment in there that relates to a nickname he was given, which I remember it one way. When looking at it, I was saying another way. I'll go by what the other people are saying. We'll see what the book is. It could just be my memory isn't completely sharp on this. But Count of Auschwitz. There's a very good reason for it. But there was also a moment that is relevant for that, where basically a German soldier explains to a German civilian, you treat the POW with respect. Because if we don't treat the POWs we've captured with respect, why should they? Why should our enemies treat our brothers, our fathers, our sons? Why should they treat them with respect? So yes, you do have that. But you do also have other things in the story, such as what some Nazis decided to try doing to Russian prisoners. This is important because the Russians were not signatories of the Geneva Convention at the time, which meant they were not protected. There is some, there's going to be some mean shit in this story. There is. It is a very good story, though. And it is also fascinating because it's a biography. This is history. This is what happened, and it's stuff that might not be recorded in many textbooks. Which is very disappointing because it's really an awesome story. I mean, what this guy did, what he went through, it's worth being remembered, so it's also going to be worth reading. That's why I'm very much looking forward to going through this. And I will also acknowledge, I'm still kind of curious to see how YouTube may react, because even though, yes, in this video I have been going between saying German and Nazi, it'll be interesting to see how YouTube reacts, because, frankly, I don't think there should be any reason that I not say Nazi, especially when I am referring to the Nazis of World War II. But, yeah, it's, I'm looking forward to this. My memories of it are of reading this book before are positive because it's a hell of a good story. And I definitely recommend reading it yourself. Exactly for that reason, and the history aspect to it as well. So, if you are interested, and let me just see, yeah, I can probably wrap this up soon. I have a link to the Kobo version. It's available on both Kobo and on Amazon. I'm putting the link to the Kobo version down below because, well, Amazon doesn't need me promoting it. But yes, if you would prefer to get it for Kindle, you can find it there. No problem. I have the title. So, yeah. Alright, I guess one little fun fact for anyone curious, because I did mention there is a movie of this. I'm not sure how available it is to watch, but if you do manage to see it, I saw it on Turner Classic Movies many years ago. The real Charles Coward is actually in it. He's, and if you, so there's pictures of him. If you look him up on Wikipedia or something, you'll see a picture there from the movie, where he's one of the POWs in a bunk, just looking down at the actor playing him. I don't remember if he was also a technical advisor for it, but yeah. Oh, I did just remember one thing that I'm pretty sure is in the book, that when at the end of the war, he and a buddy managed to escape from the camp, and they ran. They ended up getting behind the lines, behind the American lines, and I actually love the fact that it was the Americans, because we apparently had better logistics and had all this food, and just, it's like, here you go. We didn't even know British had stomachs this big. But he and his friend very much appreciated it. But yeah, I think that was part of it. But it also, from their point of view, they hadn't been getting fed very well, being in the POW camp. One other thing I will add, because I just remembered it from that. I love The Great Escape. I love that movie. And I have a copy over there. I have down there a copy of Stalag 17, which is a little different, but it still has the POWs doing things in order to try to counter and frustrate the Nazis, and also the television show Hogan's Heroes that I watched, and it's you can definitely find that. It is very interesting to read the book because books don't necessarily need as much drama inserted into it as movies or television. And Hogan's Heroes is very much a comedy and almost to farcical levels. Which also reminds me of one thing. Werner Klemperer, in that he's also in Judgment Nuremberg, a very good movie. He was German, and he had a rule following... German, good actor. He had a rule following World War II, which is that if he would ever play a German, it would have to be one of two kinds. Either a bumbling idiot like Klink in Hogan's Heroes, or I fail to remember the name of the character he plays in Judgment Nuremberg, but that is the other type of role that he would take on, which was absolutely despicable and evil, because even though he was German, he was not proud of that heritage after World War II. But the point I was trying to get to is some of this, I mean, the full underground, like, machine works and all that depicted in Hogan's Heroes, that's a bit much. But you really get a sense of just how organized they can be. POWs can be while reading the book. And that Stalag 17 and The Great Escape, I mean, The Great Escape has the benefit of, well, they put all the best escape artists in the same spot because they figured that way they can control them better. Stalag 17 is more just a random group of guys put together. Yeah, they can get to more than just that. If you've ever seen that movie, and it is a good movie. I recommend Stalag 17. I recommend The Great Escape. Enjoy them. But yeah, so I'll try to wrap up this video. So hopefully I can get to reading it soon. And it is, as I said, I'm looking forward to it. I remember reading it some years ago. It was quite interesting, quite enlightening, I guess I should say. I do also want to say enjoyable, because it is an enjoyable read, as I recall. Obviously, what it pertains to is not enjoyable, but a good story is still a good story. See you next time.